No, it's just Stephanie. I'm filming from yet another hotel room. This is part of Suzhou, China. This is a newer complex. I don't know if you can see it here. It's a newer part of Suzhou Industrial P. What's the P? I forget what the P is called, but it's a newer area. There's a lot of tall businesses and of course the canals and lots of hotels and whatnot are over here. And I'm here for business tomorrow, but before then, I get to geek out about language. Yay! Alright, so this is a new kind of video for me. I'd like to call this Whoops! Or Wasn't Ready for Noticing. I think whoops is a lot easier to comprehend than the first thing that I called it. Oops video. Because, let's face it, okay, I'm just gonna have to hold this. Sometimes you can see a word or you can see language a lot and not understand or not even care for a long time what it means because you don't need to or you don't want to or you don't, or it's not really functional for you or there's like a million reasons why you wouldn't necessarily need to understand that language. And then all of a sudden you see it in a context that where you understand it or where you need it and poof. It happens. The noticing happens. And I realized that this week this is especially strong with the third one I'm going to tell you today, and I'm doing them in order of embarrassment, partially, and in order of how strong the poof was in my head, because, man, the third one really, really, really hit me hard, because I'm sure I have seen the third one of the three I'm going to show you today. A million, billion, gazillion times, and it just never really cemented because it's part of a bigger word, which is very important to me right now, but I didn't register that specific radical or character. I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. Because radicals can be characters, and characters can be radicals, and characters don't necessarily have to be radicals, but they can have radicals. Still unwinding all of that. That's not the point. The point is there are three things that I have known for a while that I wish I had realized or noticed sooner. But this video is not meant to embarrass myself or to go, look, I'm an idiot, because you know what? You notice when you notice, and I really, really realized recently that the point is to keep going. So the point of this video is to notice now and to remember these three now, because these should stick with me now after this week of poof, poof, poof. Hey, you've known these before. The first one is one that I knew from Japan. It's one of those Chinese words. It's one of those Chinese scripts that was brought over into Japanese, and the pronunciation from Chinese to Japanese didn't actually change that much. Let me show you. And I hope this comes up. I'm trying to do this without a lot of effort here because I don't have a lot of editing time this month. So can you see that? So it's this character here, and here is the Chinese with the tone next to it. And that's the Chinese, and here's the Japanese. So you can see from that really quick diagram that it's, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce it in Chinese because I mostly remember it from Japan because we had to do a lot of paperwork. When I lived in Japan, we had to do a lot of paperwork in our Kyokushoku is what I remember. I lived in Kyokushoku, and it took me about, a month to be able to say Kyokusho, and I'm sure I'm not saying it even correctly now because it's so in the back of the mouth, and English is so in the front of the mouth, so it was kind of fun to practice on the train before we got to this. When we were on the subway, I would practice in the back of my mouth. Kyokusho, Kyokusho, Kyokusho. Anyway, Kyokushoku, ku being the Japanese for district. Right? Okay, so in Chinese, I'm not sure how to say that. That QU is one of the sounds, not even the tone yet, but the sound itself, which is messing me up. So I'm guessing it's either chu or tu. It's one of those two, I think. And then with the rising two. Oh, no, that's a flat tone, so it'd be like chu or chu. I'm not sure. But the actual character itself should be something that sticks with me, because I remember seeing it on the tons of paperwork that I had to fill out in Japan. Even though we had help filling out our paperwork, I did remember, because that is one of the simpler characters, and it's exactly the same in Japanese. It's one of the ones that doesn't change at all. So that was one that I wish I had realized sooner. But then again, honestly, day to day, I don't use it that much. But in my newspaper reading that I want to do as one of my biggest goals, I might actually see that, because they would talk about different districts, different parts of Shanghai, or different parts of cities in China, or different cities in the world that they're talking about in that particular piece. So that is one that I want to remember from now on. And again, in Japanese, it's ku kyokusho. Kyokusho is just the area that I was in, sorry, is the name of that particular district. Well, I remembered that one, and the other... I lived in Japan 5 times, and I only remember one of my neighborhood names. That's really bizarre. I think the other ones must have been a lot easier than that one, or not as much fun to try to practice in the back of my throat. Interesting. Anyway, the second one that I think is really funny is, if you've been following the channel at all for any length of time, you may have seen me call this character... Again, sorry, I'm doing this off of my computer. Here we go. You may have seen me call him Ooga Booga Man, because that's what I called him for the first 2 months, 3 months, because it's one of those, obviously, pictogram characters, which looks like what it means. It's either black or it's mysterious. I've seen a number of different definitions for it, and they're all kind of ominous or mysterious or just dark in nature kind of thing. And it's hey, hey, hey. I don't think I have the EI sound, let alone the tone right on that one. Oh, wait a minute. The reason why this cracked me up recently is I have in my notes, it sounds like hey, like English, hey, hey, like saying hi to someone. Hey, girl, hey. Hey, it sounds like that. Had I known how easy that sound was, including the pinyin and the tone together, had I known it was like, hey, I think I probably wouldn't have gone to the effort of saying Ooga Booga Man, which is clearly longer than hey. Right? But you do what you do when you need to do it. I just thought that was funny. I was doing that in my flashcards yesterday, and I got the sound off of... I wonder if I can pull it up. Oh, it's going to take too long to pull it up on my other phone. But I got the sound on Forvo, and I put it in, and I was testing it out, and I listened to it and just laughed hysterically. I'm like, sometimes it is easier just to learn the initial pronunciation than to make up stuff. But you know what? Making up Ooga Booga Man and deriving my own connotation from the pictogram does make me remember that it is sort of a negative or dark or something, that it has that kind of connotation to it. So in the end, even though in a number of videos I did call it Ooga Booga Man, which is kind of embarrassing and yet almost cute, maybe, it does help me remember it, and I will never, ever forget the meaning of this character now. Ever. And he's kind of fun to draw too. Yep. Okay, so number 3 is by far the most embarrassing, but also, you know what, it really goes to show you remember where your interest is. And I stumbled into living in China the first time when I lived in Nanjing 6 years ago because of the job title and the job content, not because I wanted to necessarily live in China. That's no insult to China, especially to the southeastern region and Shanghai. I love Shanghai to death. You all know that. I've been way too explicit about that. But it wasn't someplace I'm inherently drawn to for a number of reasons. And again, it's not like, oh, this is the worst place on earth. Bullshit. I don't believe that for a second. But I, culturally and otherwise, I've never been like, pulled towards China like some people are. Like, I feel like I'm pulled towards Spain, even though I will probably be like 60 years old by the time I get there. I don't know why. But I feel like I'm pulled in that direction. I feel like I was pulled towards Latin America for a time period. I feel like in my late teens, I was pulled towards sub-Sahara Africa. I mean, there's just different areas that African countries in sub-Sahara Africa. Anyway, so there's different things that pull you, but I was never drawn to China. So I understand why this third and by far most embarrassing word and specifically one of the characters in it didn't actually stick out to me, because I didn't feel the need to look out for it. I didn't feel the need to look at it. And if you've ever seen a map, go ahead and go on Google. You can pause for a second. Go on Google and look at a map of China in Chinese. Go ahead. I'll be here. You can pause me. I'll come back. All right. So, yeah, overwhelming. There's a lot of cities, there's a lot of districts, there's a lot of rivers, and it's all in Chinese, and let's face it, wow, it's a wall of characters. And if you don't know the language, not one particular thing is going to stick out, especially the name of the country. And yes, I just justified my way into not knowing how to say China in Chinese. I did that. But here's why. From the characters I just showed you, there's two of them, and both of them together. Let's see if I can do it. Oh boy, here we go. Guo. Oh no, the first one's straight. Zhongguo. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm probably doing the pinyin and the tones wrong in that. But here's the thing. The first one, Zhong, I've known Zhong for a really long time, but I think I've been doing it like a fourth tone. I keep going down at Zhong, and I don't know if it's because that's what happens to it when it combines with other characters, or if I'm just messing it up. By all means, leave a message below if it tends to have that behavior and I'm not completely wrong. That would be awesome. And if I have been wrong all this time, then that's something to learn from. But Zhong being a flat tone is somewhat surprising to me, but its character, the square with the line through it, I've known for years and years and years. I learned that in Taiwan in 2003. That's a really easy character. It has the same meaning everywhere you go, although I imagine when you see it in Cantonese, it has a different sound. Yeah. However, the second one is the one I really want to focus on, the second character there. Guo. No, wait, that second tone, which is rising. Guo. I'm trying. It's a fun one to try to do, but I think it's a fun sound. It's a hard sound to get out right. Again, especially for lazy front mouth Americans. Guo. But it's not down, it's up. Guo. I'll be practicing from now on, trust me, because that came up in YouTube comment section. Actually, it came up, I was seeing it in places, then it came up in the comment section, and then one of my listeners, thank you, viewers, reminded me, you should know that character because that's one of the only two characters in the word China, and you're kind of living there. Okay. Guilt taken on, but I'm going to take it back off. Again, there are a lot of reasons why I lived here before, and there are a lot of reasons I lived here now. A lot of them have been accidental. And again, when you look at maps, which is probably the main area where you would see this, I think, it's kind of overwhelming and it completely desensitizes me to all meaning. However, keeping with the newspaper focus, reading focus, I will want to keep out for these two characters, which together is the word China, because then I'll know that they're talking about the place that I'm currently living right now. Or if I'm not living here anymore, I'll know, hey, I used to live there. I know China. I know that word. Not just a character, not just a radical, it's a word. I don't have many words at my disposal right now. I have much smaller bits of language. So that's kind of embarrassing, but it's kind of exciting to have an entire word at my disposal. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so this is my first oops video. Let me know what you think. Does it help to find out what a language idiot I can be sometimes, not noticing things? It probably helps me because just in making this list, and on my computer and whatnot, and these will go straight into my flashcards, so they won't be lost anymore. But man, oh man, when you live in a place where language is around you all the time, it's so easy to latch onto some characters that look interesting to you for whatever curve or straight reason, or because they're in a certain place, or because they've got only a few strokes and you can figure out how to write them. For whatever reason, there's some that stick out. For me, there's some characters that stick out and I remember quickly and I look up quickly because they're easy to draw in Pleco and I can find out the meaning, and that's really great and that's interesting. And then there's ones that I keep looking up that I don't remember at all, ever. And then there's ones that I see a lot but forget to look up, or I see a lot and don't care because the context that they're in, I'm like, I'm not going to really need that in what I'm trying to learn. So there's a lot. It can be character saturation when it's around you all the time. And then you're also learning it in your free time when you're away from the language that's outside. So it's something. I know I sound like I'm justifying not knowing the characters for the country that I'm in, and I am. But you know what? There's so much. Oh no, I had a similar experience with Shanghai in the, what was that? It wasn't the Fuxing Park. It was one of the walkabout videos. We were looking at a statue and Shanghai and the characters was right there, and I had completely forgotten that that's what that was and had that embarrassing moment on film. But I'm keeping that on film because, again, it's one of those moments where you can see and see and see, but that notice, and not just notice, but notice and remember, and keeping it in your long-term memory, that's not as quick as it seems like it should be. And you have to keep reinforcing it, even if it's interesting, even if it's relevant, even if it's whatever. It takes a while. So I'm hoping by doing these oops videos that it will help to cement some of the ones that are either useful for my long-term reading newspaper goal, or that I will see around me, which will reinforce them in my daily life, so I won't have to do the flashcards as much. Because if you can see it and remember it, for me, when I see them and remember them, I can say them out loud, no matter how embarrassing that may be in public, because I do walk around saying Chinese characters, words, and radicals all the time. It's, I'm sure, very odd to the people around me, but I do it. That helps to keep it, and it's in addition to the flashcards and the other language learning things. Somebody just slid something under my hotel door. Maybe I'm being too loud. That is bizarre. Anyway, okay, so yeah, so that's that. So I'm gonna make more of these oops videos, I think, and I'm going to keep an eye out for characters and things that I either started to forget or that I've seen before in other contexts, either in Taiwan or Japan and whatnot, and that go, oh yeah, that kind of thing. So we'll see. It's different than an aha moment, because an aha moment is pure joy and like poof yay. Oops moments are like kind of a little more embarrassing, but still not completely shameful, because it's still always a forward process, right? I mean, language learning is a forward process, even if you dip back a little bit. So it's sort of like a tango dip. Yes, let's do a dancing analogy. Sort of like dipping, then coming back up. Sometimes you gotta go down to go up. All right, thank you very much. Until next time. 再见.